Welcome, curious wanderers, to Skeleton Sounds, Ghosts of Theatreland.
So what's the update on that phantom? Yes? Yeah? Ghostbusters got there first. Oh, perfect! No, just get back here. Look, we're starting off now. Okay? See you in a bit. Andi! Mick! We rolling?
Yes, master.
Hang on. Why are we calling you master? You didn't mention that in the job call-out.
Look, can we discuss this when we're done? Cameras are rolling and you're killing the vibes. Just go and sort out the plasterboards. And quietly, I might add.
Wanna grab a coffee before we start?
Sure, why not?
Finally. Welcome, my theatrical ghouls and macabre spectators. I'm Skeleton Sam, your host for this episode. We're going to be exploring the theatres around the UK that have gained a reputation in the housing of souls still clinging to this mortal coil. Today, we're looking at not one, but two locations. And we'll be learning about the story of William Terriss, a murdered 19th century actor whose restless spirit has been seen giving a scare in the London Underground and at the Adelphi Theatre. In life, William Terriss was a prominent stage actor from the late 1800s. He was known primarily for his strong, heroic Shakespearean parts, comedic and swashbuckling roles like that of Robin Hood. Andi, Mick, you put the wrong Robin Hood still in. Where's the remote? Oh, if you want something done, you've got to do it yourself, I suppose. Oh. Terriss's theatrical career started after working in his youth in a wide variety of jobs. These included the Merchant Navy, a tea planter in Bengal, an apprentice engineer, and a hospital staff member, before eventually stepping onto the stage of the Prince of Wales Theatre in Birmingham. Very soon, Terriss became one of the West End's rising stars, appearing in many of the famous theatres of London, including the Theatreland Drury Lane, the Adelphi Theatre and the Lyceum Theatre, which, for those of you who don't know, it's where they usually stage The Lion King in London. Anyway, in the Lyceum, he joined the company of the famous actor-manager of the time, Henry Irving. Now, according to the New York Dramatic Mirror, William Terriss was one of the greatest, and next to Henry Irving, undoubtedly the most popular actor in England. Indeed, Terriss's star continued to shine. Well, that was until on the 16th of December in 1897, William Terriss was performing at the Adelphi Theatre in a highly successful run of an American Civil War drama called The Secret Service. What he didn't know was that a disgruntled and mentally unstable actor called Richard Arthur Prince, whose career had stalled on account of his increasingly erratic behaviour, blamed Terriss for his financial woes and vowed bloody revenge. As Terriss was leaving the theatre's stage door, Prince rushed from the opposite side of the street and struck him. 2 rapid blows on the back. So quickly did this happen that several passers-by thought it was nothing more than a friendly pat on the back. Terriss appears to have thought likewise, until he turned around to face his attacker, whereupon Prince plunged into Terriss's chest. "My God," he gasped, "I am stabbed! Arrest him!" At this point, several of the theatre's scene shifters rushed to the stricken actor's aid and carried him into the passage, where they popped him up on pillows and piled ice on his chest to stop the bleeding wound. 2 doctors from nearby Charing Cross Hospital soon arrived, but Terriss was beyond medical help, and having been carried to the sofa of his dressing room, he died shortly before 8 o'clock that evening.
We missed any of the ghost stuff?
We are getting to it now.
Is that Covent Garden Station? Not exactly a theatre.
It is when you get to the street performers or police chasing muggers. Proper Friday night drama.
As I said, we are getting to it. Now go sort those plasterboards out. You can listen while you're working. So where was I? Oh yes. So, following on from the night of William Terriss's murder, the theatrical community was left in something of a state of shock, and the event itself became a wide press sensation. His killer was sentenced to Broadmoor Asylum for the criminally insane. And, well, time went on. But, in over a century from the event, Peter Underwood, in his guide to Ghosts and Haunted Places, published in 1996, revealed that Terriss's daughter, the singer and actress Eileen Terriss, had told him that her father's dying words to her were, "I will come back." Very soon Terriss would seem to honour that, but not in one, but 2 locations. Covent Garden Station and the Adelphi Theatre have over the century reported many sightings of a shadowy figure resembling that of William Terriss. This has of course left staff and members of the public of both locations feeling just a little bit spooked. For Covent Garden's Underground Station, which was built a decade after Terriss's death, was once the home of a bakery that he used to frequent regularly as a working actor. Now, this is the explanation given as to why his spirit is said to haunt the site, prowling around the station corridors and appearing on the platform. Reports over the decades include one in 1955, where station foreman Jack Hayden and other staff members found themselves creeped out by a mysterious man in a Victorian grey suit that would appear and disappear in the dead of night near closing times. The hauntings got so bad that a spiritualist was called in, and after a seance, the ghost was identified as William Terriss. Terriss would continue to be sighted until the late 1960s, going into something of a hibernation. When the hauntings began to stir up again, reports came through of phantom footsteps, mysterious shadows, and getting that feeling of not being alone, even though there's no one else about. But the most famous report came in the 1970s, when a station lift operator, having just brought up the last of his passengers from the final train of the evening, began to do his regular routine of locking up. But as he was doing this, he got a funny feeling. And he turned around and saw what he later described standing there as a tall geezer dressed in old-fashioned clothes, top hat and waistcoat. Thinking he'd locked a passenger inside the station, he went to let him out. But as the operator went to get his keys to let the man out, he came back and found that he had disappeared. Puzzled by this, the operator descended into the station, searching both platforms in case the strange man had gone down there. Finding nothing, the operator left the platform and went to inform his colleagues of what had just happened. An older colleague pulled out an old photograph and asked, was this the mysterious man that he had seen that night? The operator, shocked, said yes. His colleague then explained it was a photo from nearly 100 years ago of William Terriss. The operator said it was the spitting image of the man he encountered. Since then, and as the station's gotten busier over time, confirmed sightings of Terriss's ghost have diminished.
So, are we getting to anything relating to the Adelphi Theatre?
Give me that. According to the script, that's the next part.
Will you two keep it down? Now keep working on that ceiling. Have you made sure the plasterboard's secured?
Yeah, yes, master.
So, as I was saying before being so rudely interrupted again, whilst the hauntings have seemed to have stopped at Covent Garden Station, go down the road to Maiden Lane where he was stabbed, and you'll come to the Adelphi Theatre and find that since his murder, he likes to still make his presence known there. But first, a quick interval whilst I go and check on Andi and Mick's work. Welcome to the Adelphi Theatre. Opened in 1806, this venue's been home to a number of paranormal and unexplained phenomena attributed to William Terriss. These reported phenomena include: in 1928, a visitor to London was strolling along Maiden Lane, where he encountered the strange man in an old-fashioned grey suit. When he approached, and this mysterious figure suddenly vanished, the visitor became convinced he'd seen a ghost, and much like the station lift operator beforehand, was shown a photograph of Terriss which matched the ghostly figure he'd seen. Most occurrences within the theatre vary from poltergeist activity to a strange green mist reported to form on stage. In 1967, the reporter David Gemmell enlisted the help of William Terriss's 2 living granddaughters to help him in communicating with their grandfather's spirit at the theatre. Staying in the Adelphi's auditorium overnight, they saw a shadowy figure passing down the auditorium stalls. Then it went through the doors into the lobby, and as they sat in the front row of the stalls, the noise soon began again in the dress circle. Heavy noises akin to laboured breathing could be heard in there, before moving onto the royal box. When they got into the box, they found all the possessions they'd left had been moved about. The ghostly activity at the Adelphi Theatre has continued throughout the decades in all manner of ways that we've previously discussed. But there is one more recent event that I'd like to touch upon. In 2012, the actor, comedian and TV personality Jason Manford was performing in Stephen Sondheim's dark epic musical Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street at the Adelphi Theatre. During the run, Manford was given one of the venue's older dressing rooms, and whilst he was video calling his daughter, she would stop speaking and ask,
"Daddy, who's that man stood behind you?"
This naturally confused and concerned Manford. But this incident wouldn't happen again until 2 weeks later. And when it did, Manford would check, but could not find anyone in the room with him. His daughter described seeing the man as someone in a military uniform. After some intense sleuthing, he'd found out from the theatre staff that the man his daughter could see was matching the costume William Terriss wore the day he was murdered. Manford would also later find out that the very dressing room he was using was the one Terriss had been brought to and died in. So, if you find yourself at the Adelphi Theatre or on the last train in Covent Garden Underground Station late at night, keep your eyes peeled for a tall man in a grey suit and top hat, because you might be encountering an echo of a man who loved his craft so much that not even the grave could hold him back. Thank you for taking your time to watch this episode. Hope you've enjoyed, and next week we'll be looking at ghosts at the York Theatre Royal. Hopefully those 2 Wallies have sorted out those plasterboards.
Incoming!
What the?